This is a poem from the late Irish poet John O'Donoghue, and it's called For a New Beginning. In out-of-the-way places of the heart, where your thoughts never seem to wander, this beginning has been quietly forming, waiting until you were ready to emerge. For a long time, it has watched your desire, feeling the emptiness growing inside of you, noticing how you willed yourself on, still unable to leave what you had outgrown. It watched you play with the seduction of safety and the gray promises that sameness whispered, heard the waves of turmoil rise and relent, wondering, would you always live like this? Then the delight when your courage kindled and out you stepped onto new ground, your eyes young again with energy and dream, a path of plenitude opening before you. You can, though your destination is not yet clear, you can trust the promise of this opening. Unfurl yourself into the grace of beginning that is at one with your life's desire. Awaken your spirit to adventure. Hold nothing back. Learn to find ease in risk. Soon you will be home in a new rhythm, for your soul senses the world that awaits you.
Wow.
Isn't that beautiful? So beautiful. Really, really inspired me. I don't even remember where I came across that his writing. It just fell into my path, and I will never forget that. It's posted on my mirror, so I look at it every day. So let me just get a few note cards here ready and figure out. I didn't offer you this choice, but meditation for busy people is another thing that I talk about. It's been fun. Okay, so I'm going to hold myself also to the 15 minutes since you all held to that. All right. So if you've just come on, my name is Maria Olsen. I'm an attorney and an author based in Washington, D.C. And here's my story. At age 50, the universe conspired for three major things to happen. I got divorced, I got sober, and I became an empty nester, all at once. I was completely rudderless. I was living alone for the first time in my life. I didn't know what I was going to do. I had become estranged from almost everyone in my life, had blown up a 25-year marriage from my drinking. I had to change everything about my life. I had taken 15 years off to raise my children, and I had to go back to practicing law to support myself. I felt so guilty over the havoc I had wreaked in my family that I didn't ask for alimony. I just rolled over and said, whatever, as long as you take care of the children's needs, I'm fine. That was a mistake in any event. The first thing I did is I put all of my things in storage, sold as much as I could, and traveled to the other side of the world. I traveled to the Himalayas, high in the Himalayas, in the most destitute part of Nepal. I lived in a small village called Karnali region, in the Karnali region, where they had never met a Westerner before. They had no running water. They had no electricity. And I volunteered at the school where the children sat on mud floors. Yet they were the happiest people I had ever encountered. They knew what was really important in life. There was a great, great language barrier, but we were able to make our needs known to one another. And what happened to me during those 2 months was the emergence of a deep sense of gratitude. I no longer will take things for granted in my life. Just by virtue of living in a first world country, I will always have access to clean water and health care, even if I myself have no money. These children didn't know from day to day if they would get a meal that day. It was that destitute. Yet they offered me a warm cup of tea. They offered me warmth by the fire in their homes. It was a beautiful, beautiful exercise in cultivating gratitude and also more appreciation for the majesty of nature. When I came back from those months abroad, my son couldn't understand why I had gone. They had no internet? Like, son, they had no electricity, let alone internet. Then why did you go? Why did I go? It reset my life. It put me on a path to really having an attitude of gratitude as a daily mindset. I, every day, make at least a mental list of things for which I am grateful, from the profound to the mundane. The fact that I can still walk when I saw a lot of people who could no longer walk. The fact that I can see, touch, feel, and taste. The fact that I will get more than one meal today. The fact that I have so much. Instead of my pre-trip focus on all that I had lost, I reset my life to appreciate all that I have and continue to have and can continue to create. We in our modern society often spend a lot more time thinking about how we spend our money. Yet time is the one thing none of us can manufacture. None of us know how much time we get. None of us. And yet I was giving away my time willy-nilly and forgetting the preciousness that is the time I have on this planet, in this life. One of the biggest changes in my life is that I live with a heightened sense of intentionality. When someone asks me if I would like to do something, I practice the pause. I ask myself these questions. Is this something I really want to do? Is this something that is bringing me closer to the version that I want to become? Or is this something I'm doing simply to please someone else? Is this something that will unnecessarily deplete me from having the energy to put toward things I am truly passionate about? And that has changed my life. I no longer seek affirmations from outside of myself. I practice affirmations to myself. I am enough. I am worthy. I can do this. I am. I am. I like to call this Maria 2.0. It took me having to strip down all the material things in my life and to start over to be able to emerge as a truly authentic version of myself. As a gift to myself for my 50th year, I tried 50 new things. These things ranged from adventure travel, social activities, learning and teaching, lifestyle changes, spiritual endeavors, physical challenges. And each one taught me something new about myself. I firmly believe that when the student is ready, the teacher will come. And my teachers came in many different forms. I belong to the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous and Al-Anon. Alcoholics Anonymous has people from all walks of life, and I have learned some of my most precious lessons from homeless people. It doesn't matter who you are in AA. It's the most non-judgmental group of people you will ever find. And we all have one thing in common, and that thing is a desire to overcome our addictions and to live by the will of our higher power, whatever that higher power is. It doesn't have to be God. It can be the power of the group. It can really be anything that's bigger than yourself. I also will recommend Al-Anon to anyone because Al-Anon originated as something for people who were in relationship with alcoholics or addicts, but has grown to encompass people who are in relation or who are in dysfunctional relationships of any kind. And I would wager that all of us have at least one dysfunctional relationship in our lives. Al-Anon is more about relationships and how you have healthy relationships by creating healthy boundaries and by, the 12 steps, which are seeking help when you need them, in summary, and taking responsibility for your life. So some of the things that I tried during my year of trying 50 new things are things that I never have to try again and never will try again. For instance, I am not a good singer, and I wanted to feel what it felt like to get up on a stage and sing in front of people. I don't really understand why I chose that, except it looks really fun. I mean, on American Idol, they look like they're having a ball. So I wanted to see what that felt like. Lacking talent, wouldn't recommend doing that, but I did it. And what that did for me is I learned the lesson that courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is experiencing fear and doing it anyway. I got up there, belted out a song, left the stage to one polite applause, and I will never do that again. I will never get on stage and sing in front of an audience ever again. It was terrible. I'm terrible. My kids used to cover their ears when I sang in the car and beg me not to sing. That's how bad it is. That's okay, though. I learned something about myself. I stretched my comfort zone, and now I don't have to do it again. In terms of lifestyle challenges, one example is I practice my own brand of minimalism. For every new thing I bring into my house, I get rid of 2 things, because I don't want to leave my children with the task of having to go through a lot of stuff. My stepfather was a hoarder. I helped my mother go through his things after he passed, and it's not fun. Like, why burden your family with that if you can avoid it? And minimalism clears my mind. There are fewer things to take care of, fewer things to clean. I was able to give away a lot of things, sell a lot of things. With all the online platforms, selling stuff is not very hard anymore, especially on things like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. Really easy. So I highly recommend that, trying to get away from the tyranny of material things. At least in America, most of us have too many things, or I should say in North America. So it was mentioned earlier in today's program that I got my motorcycle and a motorcycle license. And people thought I was crazy for doing that. It doesn't really fit the sort of buttoned up corporate lawyer image that I used to have. So I got my motorcycle and I was practicing in the neighborhood, and a mom from my son's Tony prep school, saw me and went as I rode by. And I could feel this mantle of shame descending on my shoulders. And I said to myself, "Shame, you are not welcome here. Go away." I pulled over and I said, "Hi." And she said, "Maria, is that your motorcycle?" And I said, "Yes, it is. I'm just practicing my turns. I just got my license." And she wouldn't let it go. And I said, "Yes, my children are really horrified." And she said, "And so am I." And I said, "Oh, well, gotta go." Full throttled away, almost did a wheelie as I left her with her jaw still hanging open. And what that was for me was a huge growth experience. It was a sea change. Maria, who sought outside affirmation for so long, was able to drop that rock. I no longer needed her approval to feel good about myself. I felt the wind rushing through my hair, the sun on my face, and I felt good. I felt actually pretty badass, to tell you the truth. And I didn't need her anymore. I didn't need the people who I had allowed to hold me captive to have that power anymore. I took my power back. And what I learned is a quote that somebody used earlier today by Eleanor Roosevelt. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. I no longer give people consent to that. I surround myself with women like you, with people who lift me up, with people who help me to be the best version of me that I can be. I have cut out of my life all the energy vampires, all the people who just wanted to take, and not give anything in return. There is an oncology nurse who's pretty well known in the United States named Bronnie Ware, and she wrote a book about the 5 most commonly expressed regrets of the dying. And those included some that really made an impression on me. I may have some regrets when I die, but they will not be the 5 most commonly expressed, according to Bronnie Ware, i.e., one regret that was expressed was, I did not allow myself to be happy. I followed what everyone else expected of me rather than what I wanted for myself. I did not spend enough of my time with the people most important to me. And those are simple things that maybe we let slide when we just are on autopilot in our lives. And I believe that the quarantine period we've just been through and are emerging from has given us all a really good opportunity to reprioritize what we want to focus on in our lives. We've all paused. We've all now taken time, hopefully, to realize that we can't control everything. There are a few things we can control, and primarily that is how we want to spend our time. My greatest desire now is to make this world a better place because I was here. That is my mission. Sometimes that is simply to bloom where I'm planted. Sometimes that's simply to pick up garbage outside when I'm walking my dog. Sometimes that's to call someone who I know might be feeling lonely. Sometimes it's on a grander scale. Sometimes it's joining a bigger movement, like what Tam has taught us about, World Pulse. Maybe I can make a difference in that way, help my sisters in another part of the world who are hurting. Whatever it is my daily goal is to lift a burden of someone else and to make the world better because I was here. I have completely lost track of time, but I think it has been 15 minutes. So I will wrap up by saying I am just grateful to be exposed to people like you who are also using your voice to make this world a better place. Namaste.